Hey gang, Rick here again with Let's Level Up, and today we're going to be looking at another card game. Actually, this is a 45 card deck game. It's called Trifecta, and it's from Victory Point Games. Now this is actually a really neat parlor game. There's essentially 3 suits of cards in here that are their own unique suits to Trifecta. Numbered ace through king, or 2 through ace, however you want to name it there. I call it a parlor game because it plays a lot like an older, card, 52 card type game. So there's only 45 here. There's a lane of cards, one that's a plus sign, one that is a suit symbol, and one that is a negative symbol. Sorry, this game is played for 2 players. So each player has a zone off to the left or right of the column. So essentially, if I play a card in my zone, which is my playable area, and I play in the plus symbol, let's say I play a 2. Well, the next card I play has to be a 2 or higher. Once a particular row has 5 cards in it, you're going to stop and check that row and see if you score. Now, if you make 21 to 26 points, or between 20 and 27 rather, you actually will get a point, and you play to the first player has 3 points. So on my turn, what I can do is take a look at the 2 cards I have in my hand. First, I'll draw one. I'll take a look at the 3 cards that I have in my hand, and I can either discard all 3 and draw 2 new cards. I can play a card within one of my rows, or I can play a card within one of my opponent's rows. And they have to be legal plays, right? So let's say my opponent has a 4, 5, 6 in their plus row. I couldn't play a 3 there because it'd have to beat whatever the 6 is. This game has a lot of really cool strategic elements to it, and is an excellent game to play with 2 players. I really enjoy this. I'd like the card stock to be a little bit better. I'm pretty sure what I got here is a prototype from Trifecta, but this is one of those games that I really enjoy. Very quick to learn, very rewarding playing experience. Takes about 20 minutes and it'll play 2 players. So we'll let it hit the table now and show you a little bit of how it's played there on the table, and then after that give you our final thoughts. Here we have Trifecta set up and ready to play for 2 players. So if I just move this out of the way, what I'm going to do is draw 2 cards, and each player will have 2 cards. So you can see I got the red 3 and the purple, the red 6 and the purple 3. So we have 3 different columns, or rather 3 different rows that we can play cards in. On the left side of the play area will be your play space, and on the right side will be your opponent's play space. The opponent will have a red 3 and a red 2 as well. So we're just going to keep these face up over here. So that's their hand. On our turn, what we'll do is we'll draw a card. You can see we got the 10. And then we'll essentially play a card. And now we could either discard our entire hand of 3 cards and draw 2 more, and that'll be our turn. Play a card in our area, or play a card in the opponent's area. So let's say we wanted to start things out right and say set it up for a block. So we're going to play our 10 here in the plus symbol. So what that means is that if the opponent is going to play a card here in this lane, he or she has to play a card that is a 10 or higher. Now you're going to play until this lane has 5 cards in it. After there are 5 cards into it, you're gonna total up all those 5 cards. If the total of those cards equals 21 through 26, that player will get 1 point, and you play to 3 points. This lane here, you're gonna have to play and basically create a flush so that all the colors are gonna have to be the same. So let's say this player is gonna draw another card, and they're gonna play a 2 here at this lane. So all the cards that are going to be played from this point forward have to be red. Back to my turn, I'll draw a card, I'll get a 4, and I am going to play, a 3 there. So now the next card I play in this row will have to be a 3 or higher. They get an 8, they're going to play an 8 over here, so they have to play basically an 8 or lower on that end. So you're going to keep playing this again until all the cards have 5 rows, and you can play them. If you have the cards to play, like something like that, you can play all 3 cards. You don't have to evenly distribute. And remember, whenever you get to play a card in your area or your opponent's area. So there's a lot of really awesome strategy and kind of cutting out what your opponent is trying to do by playing cards ahead of the game and blocking them off. Another thing that's neat about this is that in the minus area, if I were to ever play a 2, let's see if I can pull one out. 4. There's got to be one here sooner or later, right? King. Okay, we can use the same example for a king. So if I were to play a 2 here, this will actually flip up to a plus sign, which is really cool. So those things will always be rotating. The same thing if the first card here is played as a king. And rather, the 2 has to be played first on either side. So if I play a 2 here and flip it to a plus sign, and there's nothing here, and my opponent were to play a 2 there, it'll actually, a king there, it'll actually flip back to a minus. So anytime a card is played directly adjacent to a plus or minus symbol, if it's a king and this is a plus, it'll switch to a minus. If this is a minus sign and it is a 2, it'll actually switch to a plus, which is really cool. It's a very immutable objective that you can switch and really change the strategy on somebody if they're going after one particular thing. I really, really like how cutthroat the game of Trifecta is. So I think Victory Point has a really awesome game here, and it's definitely one that I would recommend people checking it out at victorypointgames.com. So please follow us now with our afterthoughts. Well, that's it for Trifecta. I think Victory Point Games has a real winner here. If you're looking for a 2-player card game that plays in under a half hour, Trifecta is a very, very good game. And again, it's a parlor side game, so it really kind of throws back to a different time in gaming, which I really enjoy. There's not a lot of game companies who are making games like this anymore. People have kind of moved on to more of the Renaissance period, as we're calling it. But Victory Point has a really, really rewarding game here in Trifecta, and I think it's, for the amount that it's going to cost to get it on your shelf, it is definitely one that everybody should consider getting. Perfect road game, perfect game to play at your lunch break if you're doing it on the job, and anytime that you've got another player and want to play a nice strategic card game, Trifecta is the one that you should definitely look out for. So I really enjoy how I can implement a strategy that is going to bust somebody else or set up blocks so that they can't do it to me, and it makes Trifecta one of those games that is very malleable in the way that I can implement my strategy, which I think is really cool. And at the end of the day, there's not a lot of games out there that does it with just a few number of cards like Trifecta can do it. So check out Trifecta. Go to victorypointgames.com. All the information's there. And while you're at it, check us out on Twitter and Facebook. We're at Let's Level Up. All of our information can be found at letslevelup.net. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Give us a thumbs up on the video as well. That helps us out a lot. But most importantly, game on.